Beginners by Denise Levertov, dedicated to the memory of Karen Silkwood and Eliot Gralla. Quote, "From too much love of living, hope and desire set free, even the weariest river winds somewhere to the sea. But we have only begun to love the earth. We have only begun to imagine the fullness of life. How could we tire of hope? So much is in bud. How can desire fail? We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy, only begun to envision how it might be to live as siblings with beast and flower, not as oppressors. Surely our river cannot already be hastening into the sea of nonbeing. Surely it cannot drag in the silt all that is innocent. Not yet, not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended. Too much hurt we have done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven. We have only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud." Welcome to the Poetry Oracle podcast, and thanks for listening. I'm sorry I've been away for a while. Haven't felt much like poetry, honestly, recovering from being taken advantage of after offering my best attempt at compassion and sacrifice, and once again being disappointed, assuming expectations that were not meant to be. Yet, somehow, I know that in the innocent offering, I succeeded. If I could learn to have no expectations. Also, new questions in my life, as we all have, mine lately with direction. Where am I going? Where have I come from? Where am I now? Soon I will embark on yet another college degree, this in counseling, as I seek a new career helping others with my curriculum vitae of life experiences, challenges, victories and defeats, and mistakes that come with risking greatness. I do not find myself excited about this new path as of yet, not sure if it's right for me, although everyone says I'll be a great counselor. It has come across my path, so I will give it a go, see if it is where I am to flow next. The great Denise Levertov offers this beauty in honor of the great Karen Silkwood, a nuclear weariest who mysteriously died after exposing the dangers of nuclear power back in the 1970s. I could not find who Eliot Gralla was. I am sure yet another warrior Levertov was honoring. I myself have lived at times the life of the warrior, to devote oneself completely towards a cause, win or lose, and thus be fully alive. Levertov calls to my lethargy, to my stuckness of not being sure where I am to go next, as if I would get my answer by some lightning strike of synchronicities, which has happened before in my life, other times not so much as perhaps now. To join our solitudes in the communion of struggle is the calling, and where Levertov suggests the power within lies. Perhaps there is too much broken that needs mended, as in the story of the world, no matter what time we find ourselves in. And certainly in this time of global warming, political anarchy, unrelenting greed, and a worldwide contagious malaise, of which I currently have caught the virus, that has made depression, for the first time, the number one disabling medical condition in the world. Perhaps the depressed are the canaries in the coal mine who feel the deep pain within, choosing not to avoid it. Levertov suggests that this fledgling bud, which within resides unbloomed fullness, hope, desire, and the imaginings of justice and mercy to others, that we ensue upon a new direction, while flowing as we do towards non-being, not yet time to surrender. I often think of my past battles and the fullness of being alive on those battlefields, of the Native Americans saying, "Hoka hey, it's a good day to die," or from my own tribe, "Is this a private fight, or can anybody get involved?" Win or lose, live or die, to take that kind of risk, one can feel one's breath, heartbeat, and all brain synapses firing as we fight for what we believe is right. So, with these experiences, perhaps I am to counsel others, those who are the battlers of this generation, the youthful, brave warrioresses and warriors who face the challenges and risk in fighting great dark powers in the world, the Greta Thunbergs and Karen Silkwoods of the world. Yes, I think it is time that the feminine step into the places of masculine-dominated power and rule from a different perspective. And that means both men and women standing side by side as their buds burst forth in bravery, sacrifice, and dogged determination to make a difference in the world. And yet I still feel that I have at least one more great battle within me as I turn 58 years old in a few weeks, that my sword and armor are still here, and I can still wield them towards a cause worth dying for. Not sure which way I am to go, to step out there once more on that familiar battlefield, certainly older, wiser, wounded and healed, victor and defeated, or to support those who are to fight now, their counsel, supporter, and nurturer, embracing them for their courage, strength, weaknesses, in their victories and in their defeats. Beginning again, an experienced beginner. Hoka hey. About Denise Levertov. Denise Levertov was born in 1923 and grew up in Ilford, Essex. Her mother, Beatrice Adelaide Levertov, came from a small mining village in North Wales. Her father, Paul Levertov, had been a teacher at Leipzig University and, as a Russian Hasidic Jew, was held under house arrest during the First World War as an enemy alien by virtue of his ethnicity. When Levertov was 5 years old, she declared she would be a writer. At age 12, she sent some of her poems to T.S. Eliot, who replied with a 2-page letter of encouragement. In 1940, when she was 17, Levertov published her first poem. During the Blitz, Levertov served in London as a civilian nurse. Her first book, The Double Image, was published 6 years later. In 1947, she met and married American writer Mitchell Goodman and moved with him to the United States the following year. Both politics and war are major themes in Levertov's poetry. Levertov was published in the Black Mountain Review during the 1950s, but not denied any formal relations with the group. She began to develop her own lyrical style of poetry through these influences. She felt it was part of a poet's calling to point out the injustice of the Vietnam War, and she also actively participated in rallies, reading poetry at some of them. Levertov's heavy religious writing began at her conversion to Christianity in 1984. She wrote a great deal of metaphysical poetry to express her religious views and began to use Christianity to link culture and community together. In 1990, she joined the Catholic Church at St. Edward's in Seattle. She became involved in protests of the U.S. attack on Iraq. She retired from teaching at Stanford and her papers are stored there. In 1994, she was diagnosed with lymphoma and also suffered pneumonia and acute laryngitis. Despite this, she continued to lecture and participate at national conferences, many on spirituality and poetry, and finally passed away in 1997.